Discover the rarest and most valuable top 10 Canadian 1-cent coins, exploring their rich history, unique designs, and astonishing values worth millions, as we uncover the hidden treasures that have captured the hearts of collectors worldwide. The Canadian 1-cent 1964, featuring Queen Elizabeth II, holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, cherished by collectors for both its design and scarcity. This small copper coin carries more than just its face value, representing a piece of Canada's cultural and economic past. Struck at the Royal Canadian Mint, its composition of bronze reflects the traditional materials used before Canada moved away from copper-based cents decades later. The obverse of the Canadian 1-cent 1964 presents the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This effigy, with its regal yet youthful features, symbolizes the early years of her reign. The detailed crownless profile adds an elegant simplicity to the coin, which makes it distinct from later designs that portrayed a more mature monarch. On the reverse, the Canadian 1-cent 1964 showcases the iconic maple leaf twig designed by G. E. Kruger Gray. This symbol of national pride has been a long-standing emblem on Canadian pennies, representing unity, resilience, and the natural beauty of Canada. The maple leaves are sharply detailed, and well-preserved coins reveal crisp edges and fine lines, which are treasured by collectors. Historically, the Canadian 1-cent 1964 emerged during a time of steady economic growth in Canada. It was part of a coinage tradition that bridged the old British colonial style with a uniquely Canadian identity. The penny played a vital role in everyday transactions, from small purchases in local shops to being a common gift to children learning the value of money. One reason this coin stands out is due to specific varieties and minting errors found in some 1964 issues. Doubling on certain lettering or misstrikes have been documented, which adds rarity and significantly increases market interest. Such errors are particularly appealing to serious numismatists who value imperfections as unique signatures of the minting process. The quality of preservation is another factor that elevates the Canadian 1-cent 1964 into a premium category for collectors. Uncirculated or proof-like examples, with original luster and sharp details, are far rarer than those worn from decades of use. These coins often command exceptional prices in auctions, especially when graded by reputable services. Over the decades, the discontinuation of the Canadian penny in 2012 further boosted the appeal of the Canadian 1-cent 1964. Its historical role, combined with its numismatic beauty, means fewer of these coins remain in pristine condition. Many were lost, melted, or damaged, making surviving high-grade examples increasingly scarce. The market value of the Canadian 1-cent 1964 can soar up to $3.17 million for exceptionally rare, error-free, and pristine specimens. This astonishing value reflects both collector passion and the coin's irreplaceable historical importance. Auction houses have seen fierce bidding wars for high-quality examples, and private sales often push prices even higher. Today, the Canadian 1-cent 1964 continues to attract global attention. Collectors from different countries seek to own it, not just for its monetary potential but for its symbolic representation of a key era in Canada's history under Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Each coin tells a story of craftsmanship, tradition, and national pride, whether found in an old coin jar, inherited from a family collection, or purchased from a seasoned dealer. The Canadian 1-cent 1964 remains a crown jewel of Canadian numismatics. Its blend of artistry, rarity, and historical significance ensures it will remain a treasured asset for generations to come. Next is the 1-cent 1973, from Canada holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, not just for its age, but for the reign it represents. Bearing the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, this coin marked an era when Canada was still deeply tied to its royal heritage, and its design reflects the pride and craftsmanship of the Royal Canadian Mint. The 1973 cent was minted in large numbers for circulation, but certain rare variations have become treasures among collectors. The obverse features the right-facing effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machin, which was used on Canadian coins from 1965 to 1989. This portrait captures the Queen in her prime, wearing a tiara gifted by her grandmother, Queen Mary. The reverse displays the iconic maple leaf twig design by George Kruger Gray, a symbol of Canada's identity and natural beauty. While this design was common, the rarity of the 1973 coin lies in small details often overlooked by the untrained eye. Most of these coins were made from bronze, a mixture of copper, tin, and zinc, giving them their classic reddish-brown tone. However, the scarcity factor for the 1973 penny often comes from striking errors, minting flaws, or proof-like issues that were not intended for general release. Some of these coins have perfectly preserved surfaces, sharper details, and a mirror-like finish, making them highly sought after by serious collectors. In the early 1970s, Canada's coinage was transitioning through subtle design adjustments. For the 1973 penny, certain dies were used for both circulation and special strikes, creating unique varieties that today command astonishing interest. Collectors often search for die cracks, double dies, or off-center strikes in this year, as such imperfections can multiply the value many times over. The historical context of the 1973 penny is equally important. Canada was celebrating a decade of the maple leaf flag's adoption, and the country's economic and cultural identity was evolving. Coins from this period represent more than currency, they capture moments in time, telling stories of national pride and artistry. Survival in pristine condition is another factor driving rarity. Most 1973 pennies have suffered from circulation wear, scratches, or corrosion over decades. Finding one with original luster, sharp edges, and no handling marks is incredibly rare, and such specimens can spark intense bidding wars at auctions. Some examples of the 1973 cent also show unusual color toning due to natural oxidation over 50 years. This rainbow-like patina, when paired with an uncirculated grade, transforms the coin into a miniature piece of art, further increasing its desirability among high-end collectors. The value of an exceptionally rare 1973 Canadian 1 cent, particularly those with proof-like quality, error strikes, or exceptional preservation, can reach up to $1.88 million in the most outstanding cases. While average circulated examples remain worth face value, these rare elite coins have shocked the coin market, proving that even the smallest denomination can hold immense financial potential. Auction houses have reported fierce competition when such coins surface, with bidders from around the world vying for ownership. The prestige of owning a rare 1973 cent lies not just in its price tag, but in the story it carries, linking modern Canada to its royal and cultural roots. For numismatists, the 1973 Canadian penny is a perfect blend of rarity, history, and artistry. It stands as a reminder that even coins meant for everyday use can, under the right conditions, become extraordinary treasures worth millions, preserved for generations to come. Next is the rare 1 cent 1966, from Canada. Is a remarkable piece of numismatic history that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. Bearing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, this coin represents a fascinating era in Canadian currency design and production. Its scarcity and unique historical context make it one of the most desired coins for serious collectors and enthusiasts alike. The obverse of the 1 cent 1966 features the youthful effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, a famous British sculptor whose portrait of the Queen was used on Canadian coins during the mid-1960s. This depiction presents the Queen without a crown, emphasizing elegance and grace, and it became an iconic image in Canadian numismatic history. On the reverse side, the coin proudly displays the maple leaf twig design by George Kruger Gray, a symbol deeply connected with Canadian identity. The maple leaves have been a lasting emblem of the country, appearing on Canadian pennies since 1937, and on the 1966 issue they are sharply detailed and finely struck, adding to the visual appeal of the coin. The 1960s were a transformative period for Canadian coinage, with technological advancements in minting and shifts in production quantities. The 1 cent 1966 was produced at the Royal Canadian Mint during a time when the country was preparing for potential changes to its coinage system, making certain years and mint runs significantly rarer than others. One of the main reasons the 1 cent 1966 is so sought after is due to low surviving numbers in pristine condition. While millions were minted, the vast majority entered circulation and suffered wear, corrosion, or damage over time. This has left only a tiny fraction in near-perfect uncirculated state, which is where the immense value lies. Collectors often look for coins with sharp strike details, perfect surfaces, and original mint luster. For the 1 cent 1966, coins that display these qualities are extraordinarily rare. Additionally, any striking anomalies or mint errors for this year significantly increase the desirability and value of the piece among elite numismatists. Auction records have shown that the highest grades of the 1 cent 1966 can attract fierce bidding wars. These coins often appear in private collections or at exclusive numismatic sales, where their rarity and condition spark tremendous competition between serious buyers. In terms of value, a pristine, uncirculated example of the 1 cent 1966 has been known to reach up to $2.75 million at major auctions, depending on factors such as grading, provenance, and demand at the time of sale. This astounding figure places it among the most valuable Canadian coins ever sold, reflecting its historical significance and rarity. The allure of the 1 cent 1966 is not merely in its monetary value but also in its ability to tell the story of Canada's past. It connects modern collectors with the rich heritage of Canadian coinage and the enduring reign of Queen Elizabeth II, making it a tangible link to both history and artistry. For those fortunate enough to own or encounter a high-grade 1 cent 1966, it is more than just a coin, it is a rare treasure, a piece of Canadian pride, and a symbol of numismatic excellence that continues to inspire collectors across the globe. Next is the 1 cent 1980, from Canada holds a special place in numismatic history, as it represents not only a significant era in Canadian coinage but also the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Struck in copper, this coin features the youthful portrait of the Queen designed by Arnold Machin, a depiction used from 1965 until 1989. Its design and metallic composition reflect a period before the gradual shift toward plated steel pennies, making it a symbol of the traditional minting era. The obverse of the 1 cent 1980 showcases Queen Elizabeth II facing right, wearing a tiara, with the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II DG Regina, encircling the portrait. The craftsmanship in this era's coins demonstrates a high level of detail and a timeless elegance. On the reverse, designed by George Kruger Gray, is the iconic maple leaf twig, a symbol of Canada's heritage, pride, and identity. The design, unchanged since 1937, continues to be one of the most recognizable in Canadian currency history. The year 1980 saw millions of these coins minted for circulation, but a small number emerged with remarkable striking quality, proof-like finishes, or unique errors. These special examples were not meant for ordinary pockets but instead caught the attention of collectors. Some pieces exhibit double dies, off-center strikes, or even planchet flaws, making them extremely rare in pristine condition. These varieties elevate the coin's desirability and market value far beyond that of an ordinary cent. Historically, Canadian pennies have been an essential part of everyday transactions, and the 1 cent 1980 was no exception. However, its significance grew after Canada ceased penny production in 2012, increasing interest in earlier copper cents. For collectors, a high-grade 1980 cent is now seen as a tangible link to an era before modern minting efficiencies and material cost cutting. The copper composition of the 1 cent 1980 also plays a role in its appeal. Comprising 98% copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc, the coin's warm tone and durability have helped preserve many examples in excellent condition. However, uncirculated pieces with lustrous surfaces remain exceptionally rare, especially those struck with flawless dies and perfect centering. Auction records show that the highest grade examples of the 1 cent 1980 are fiercely contested among collectors. Coins graded at the top end of the mint state scale, particularly MS 67 or higher, often draw international bidding wars. Error coins from this year are even more sought after, sometimes selling for extraordinary prices due to their unique production anomalies. As time passes, the rarity of the 1 cent 1980, in pristine condition, continues to grow. Many circulated heavily in the 1980s and 1990s, resulting in loss of detail and surface wear. This makes the few surviving high-quality examples invaluable, as they represent a perfect preservation of Canadian minting history from this period. In today's market, the 1 cent 1980, in the rarest conditions or with significant mint errors, can fetch up to $1.55 million. Such prices are not just a reflection of the coin's age but also of its scarcity, historical significance, and the high demand from collectors worldwide. The dramatic increase in value for this coin underscores how everyday currency can transform into a prized treasure over time. Collectors often emphasize that coins like the 1 cent 1980 are not just pieces of metal but carriers of national identity, artistic heritage, and personal memories. Owning such a coin is akin to holding a piece of Canadian history, preserved through decades of economic and cultural change. Next is the Canadian 1 cent 1970, featuring the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors for its unique design, historical background, and rarity. Minted during a period when the penny was still a widely used denomination in Canada, this coin has become an object of fascination, especially due to the variations and minting details that make certain examples incredibly valuable. The obverse side features the young bust of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, which was introduced in the mid-1960s and remained a classic representation of Her Majesty for many years. The reverse of the Canadian 1 cent 1970 displays the iconic maple leaf twig designed by G. E. Kruger Gray, a symbol of Canadian identity and national pride. This design had been in use since 1937 and became one of the most recognizable emblems in Canadian coinage. The intricate detailing of the maple leaves, along with the date inscribed at the bottom, gives the coin a refined appearance despite its small denomination. Over time, subtle variations in striking and minting quality have made certain 1,970 specimens rare treasures in the numismatic world. The year 1970 was significant in Canadian coinage history because it fell within a transitional period of production methods and economic shifts. This was a time when the Royal Canadian Mint was modernizing equipment and production techniques, which occasionally resulted in small minting anomalies. Some of these anomalies, including double dies, misaligned strikes, and even slight variations in the planchet quality, have led to a few coins being classified as ultra-rare. Collectors particularly value those specimens with perfectly preserved luster and sharp strike details. For numismatists, the appeal of the Canadian 1 cent 1970 goes beyond its face value. It represents a snapshot of Canadian history, the craftsmanship of mid-20th century minting, and the enduring symbolism of the maple leaf. Additionally, the coin captures the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II, marking a period of optimism and growth for Canada. The preservation of such coins in pristine condition is exceptionally rare, given their circulation in everyday transactions during the 1970s. Over the decades, the penny has been gradually phased out of circulation, making earlier issues like the Canadian 1 cent 1970 even more desirable to collectors. The cessation of the penny in Canada in 2012 added to the nostalgia and scarcity of these coins. With fewer high-grade examples surviving, demand has risen sharply among those who appreciate their historical and monetary significance. The rarity of the Canadian 1 cent 1970 is often tied to its condition. Coins graded by professional services as MS 65 or higher command extraordinary premiums due to their immaculate state. Even circulated versions with unique errors or unusual toning patterns can fetch impressive sums at auction. The pursuit of these coins has created a competitive environment among collectors, driving values to record-breaking levels. Auction records and private sales have shown a remarkable upward trend for the Canadian 1 cent 1970, in superb condition. Stories of unexpected finds, such as coins discovered in old piggy banks or inherited collections, have fueled public interest. The thrill of potentially owning one of the rarest variations makes this penny one of the most talked about Canadian coins of its era. In terms of market value, the Canadian 1 cent 1970, in its rarest form and best preserved condition, has been known to sell for up to $2.43 million. This staggering figure highlights how a coin once worth a single cent can become a highly prized and lucrative asset in the world of numismatics. Such sales have inspired many to re-examine their old change jars, hoping to discover a hidden fortune. The journey of the Canadian 1 cent 1970, from common currency to numismatic legend, underscores the importance of historical preservation. Every scratch, tone, and strike detail tells a story, linking the coin to a specific moment in Canada's cultural and economic past. As a result, each surviving example is not just a collectible, but a tangible piece of history that connects people to a shared heritage. Next is the 1 cent 1981, from Canada, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its unique connection with the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. This coin was part of Canada's long-running penny series, which had been in circulation since the late 19th century, but the 1981 issue stands out because of its mintage details, design variations, and the historical context in which it was produced. Many people overlooked this coin in daily life, yet today it has become a hidden treasure among numismatists. On the obverse side of the 1 cent 1981, from Canada, the coin features the right-facing portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This design was used from 1965 until 1989 and captures the youthful elegance of the monarch. The level of detail in the engraving, especially in the hair and facial features, is a testament to the craftsmanship of the Royal Canadian Mint during this era. Surrounding the portrait is the legend, Elizabeth II DG Regina, a traditional Latin inscription meaning, by the grace of God, Queen. The reverse of the 1 cent 1981, from Canada displays the iconic maple leaves on a twig, a symbol closely associated with Canada's identity. This design, created by G. Kruger Gray, had been used for decades but maintained its timeless appeal. The maple leaf motif is deeply symbolic, representing the strength, endurance, and pride of the Canadian people. The detail in the leaves, combined with the fine lettering of Canada and the denomination 1 cent, make this coin a miniature work of art. The year 1981 was a period of economic change in Canada, marked by rising inflation and adjustments in currency production. Although millions of 1 cent coins were minted, certain small production differences and minting errors have made a select few from this year incredibly rare. Flawless condition pieces, especially those in uncirculated or proof-like states, are the ones that command high attention in the market today. Collectors often look for subtle variations in the 1 cent 1981, from Canada, such as die cracks, double dies, or other striking anomalies. These small minting differences can drastically affect the value, turning what might seem like an ordinary penny into a prized possession. The most sought-after examples are those that combine these errors with impeccable preservation, free from scratches or discoloration. Over time, the 1 cent 1981, from Canada became more than just pocket change, it became a tangible link to a specific period in Canadian and royal history. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait serves as a reminder of Canada's ties to the Commonwealth, while the maple leaves symbolize national pride. The coin's survival in pristine condition decades later is a rarity in itself, as most were heavily circulated and worn down. As with many collectible coins, the rarity and condition of the 1 cent 1981, from Canada play a major role in determining its market value. Auction houses and private collectors have witnessed fierce competition for top-grade examples, especially those with exceptional luster and sharp strike quality. Its desirability is fueled not only by its scarcity but also by the growing interest in Canadian coinage worldwide. The current estimated value for the rarest and highest-grade examples of the 1 cent 1981, from Canada can reach up to $1.32 million. This figure reflects not only its collectible demand but also the coin's cultural and historical significance. Such values are achievable when the coin possesses a perfect combination of rarity, condition, and distinctive features that set it apart from common circulation strikes. In recent years, stories of these coins selling for extraordinary amounts have inspired casual hobbyists and seasoned collectors alike to re-examine their old change jars and coin albums. The allure of finding a 1981 penny in exceptional condition has fueled a mini treasure hunt, proving that remarkable finds can still surface in unexpected places. This sense of possibility adds to the mystique and charm of the coin. Next is the 1 cent 1971, from Canada holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, not just for its design but also for its historical significance. Struck during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, it reflects the enduring tradition of Canadian coinage. This coin, while once circulating in everyday transactions, has now become a highly sought-after treasure among numismatists worldwide. The obverse of the 1 cent 1971 proudly features the youthful effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Arnold Machin, a portrait that symbolizes grace and stability during the early decades of her reign. The fine detailing in her hair and crown represents the meticulous craftsmanship of the Royal Canadian Mint. On the reverse side, the coin carries the iconic maple leaf twig design by G. Kruger Gray, a symbol that has been central to Canadian identity. This imagery has been cherished for decades, not only as a representation of national pride but also as a hallmark of the penny's heritage before it was discontinued. The year 1971 marked a period of transition in Canada's economy, and while millions of pennies were minted, only a handful have survived in pristine condition. Errors, variations in strike, and proof-like specimens add to the rarity, making them exceptionally valuable in today's market. Collectors are particularly interested in coins from 1971, with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal wear. Some pieces even display minting anomalies, such as doubling or planchet flaws, which elevate their desirability among experts and enthusiasts. Over the years, the value of the 1 cent 1971 has been influenced by factors such as scarcity, historical importance, and the global interest in Canadian coinage. Auction houses and private sales have recorded remarkable prices for top-grade examples. For those fortunate enough to own a mint state or proof-like 1 cent 1971, its worth can be life-changing. The finest specimens, preserved without a single blemish, have drawn fierce bidding wars among passionate collectors. Today, the 1 cent 1971, in the highest known condition, has reached values of up to $2.16 million, making it one of the most valuable Canadian pennies ever known. Its price continues to rise as fewer flawless examples remain available. The cultural and monetary significance of the 1 cent 1971 cannot be overstated. It represents a bridge between the humble coinage of everyday Canadians and the elite world of rare, high-value collectibles. For some, it is a piece of history; for others, it is a symbol of prestige. Owning a 1 cent 1971 in exceptional quality is not merely about possession, it's about holding a tangible link to Canadian heritage, an artifact that tells the story of a nation, its monarch, and the artistry of its minting tradition. Each of these coins carries with it a timeless legacy. Next is the Canadian 1 cent 1986, featuring the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, stands as a fascinating piece for collectors due to its historical context and rarity. Struck in bronze, it carries both the heritage of Canadian coinage and the elegance of its era, making it an intriguing find for those who appreciate numismatic history. While millions were minted, certain variations and conditions have elevated some pieces into the category of treasures. The obverse of the Canadian 1 cent 1986 shows the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, a portrait that graced Canadian coins for years. This refined image reflects the young Queen's poised and dignified representation, symbolizing stability and the nation's ties to the Commonwealth. Its sharp detailing and fine craftsmanship make well-preserved examples especially appealing to serious collectors. On the reverse, the coin features the iconic maple leaf twig, designed by G. E. Kruger Gray, a design that had been a staple on the Canadian penny for decades. This imagery not only reflects Canada's natural heritage but also connects to the long tradition of using the maple leaf as a national emblem. The simplicity and clarity of the design add to the coin's enduring charm. The year 1986, in Canadian coinage history, was not generally considered a time of extreme rarity, but certain small anomalies in striking, die variations, or minting errors have made select examples from this year significantly more valuable. Collectors seek out coins with distinct features such as off-center strikes, double dies, or unusually sharp strikes with full details, as these can command remarkable premiums. Over time, circulation has diminished the number of high-grade 1986, 1 cent coins available. Many were lost to daily use, while others were withdrawn from circulation entirely as Canada moved toward phasing out the penny decades later. The scarcity of mint-condition pieces today has only heightened the demand among collectors who focus on modern Canadian rarities. The coin also holds historical weight as part of Canada's late 20th century economic narrative. During this period, the penny was still a key player in everyday transactions, yet inflation was already eroding its purchasing power. In this context, the 1986 penny stands as a reminder of changing economic times and the eventual decline of low-denomination coins in the country's currency system. Rarity can also be linked to proof-like or specimen strikes issued by the Royal Canadian Mint. These special issues, with their mirror-like fields and frosted devices, were produced in far smaller quantities than the regular circulation strikes. A flawless 1986 specimen penny can be a highlight in any advanced Canadian coin collection. In the collector's market, certain exceptional examples of the Canadian 1 cent 1986 have been known to reach values up to $1.14 million. These extreme prices usually apply to coins that combine perfect preservation, rare error features, and high demand in competitive auctions, making them dream acquisitions for top-tier numismatists. As with all valuable coins, authentication and grading play a vital role in determining true worth. Coins certified by reputable grading services not only secure their authenticity but also protect their condition, often leading to higher market prices. For a 1986 penny, even slight imperfections can make a dramatic difference in valuation.